Good morning, everyone. This is Jeffy Kennedy, author of fantasy romance and romantic fantasy. I'm here with my first cup of coffee, the espresso. Today is Tuesday, January 11th, 2022. So many twos. The years of twos, I think, is going to be interesting. Uh, Sorry, no podcast yesterday. I came down with a stomach bug on Saturday night. Don't know if it was food poisoning or a 24-hour flu. I don't think it was COVID. It passed quickly. This is sort of my thing. I don't want to TMI you guys, but yeah, lots of purging, and it'll go all night till it's done. I always think of Emily Blunt in The Devil Wears Prada when she says that she's one stomach flu away from her ideal weight. It's one of the classic lines. But yeah, I lost 6 pounds in a couple days. Not the ideal way to go about such things. But I'm feeling much better today. Feeling much better now. Oh, sixth sense. Uh, which is another one of my personal jokes I think nobody gets. Uh, so yeah, Sunday I was just down for the count, so I got nothing done. Yesterday I took the day off just to make sure I was rested. Um, I don't know, it could have been food poisoning. It's hard to say. I was running a fever, but it also I don't feel any of those fluish viral after effects. So hard to say. Um, yeah, I didn't go get tested for COVID. Maybe I should have, but by the time I don't know, it just didn't seem like is there a point? Um, the only reason I do it is for the data, but I'm also not around anybody. I canceled all my things, so and fortunately viruses can't come through the video. So and also David is fine, so he has no choice but to be exposed to me in our small house. But I mean, we've been staying away from each other, but he, yeah, he seems to be perfectly fine. So possibly something I ate. I was eating out a lot for several days there. I did have a lot of fun with the people who were in town. I think I mentioned that on Friday morning. Um, Marianne Maharaj was here, and also Alex Gurovich and Susan Lee, friends of hers. And Alex has a book out today, actually, on finance, if you're into things like trading and hedge funds. It's called The Trades of March, and it's about how trading went in March of 2020 with the onslaught of the pandemic. So I'll link to it if you guys are interested in such things, uh, which I'm not saying that you shouldn't be. I'm just not. That's just not my thing. But yeah, Alex is a great guy, really lovely, and he treated us to dinner Friday night after Marianne's interview, which Susan conducted, and that'll be on the Beastly Books YouTube. So that was a lovely time. And then on Saturday, I had many SIFWA meetings. And then Saturday evening, we went over to Melinda Snodgrass's house, and I brought takeout, and everybody sat around, and we enjoyed a lovely evening together. And then later that night, I was unwell. Alas, I think that's one of the funny things about the pandemic, such as so far as there are funny things about the pandemic, is that we are, we forget that there's other things that can go wrong too. That like every time we get sick, it's not necessarily COVID. And now that we are out and about in the world more, that it can be other things. So it is funny because I've done that to my friends too. Like my nail gal was, I don't know, a few months ago, she was sick and out for like 2 weeks with something like a stomach bug. And I said, well, was it COVID? And she said, I went and got tested and I was negative. And, oh, hold on just a moment. I don't know why I tell you guys to hold on when I do the pause. I know it's seamless on your end. Uh, we're dealing with health insurance stuff with the rollover to the new year. Partly it's my fault because I was supposed to pay my premium much earlier. So we self insure through the health insurance marketplace. And because I'm a writer and I don't have a salary or benefits, and neither does David. So generally, this has been working pretty well. But we pay our insurance premium beginning of the month, right? That's pretty, and that's when I pay all the bills. Well, this year for the rollover, they had sent me a thing saying that I needed to pay by December 18th. And I missed it. I just didn't pay attention. I got the bill and filed it without paying attention to the fact that it was a different due date. And what's weird is, so there's Be Well New Mexico, which is the marketplace, and then we're insured through New Mexico True Health. So what was funny is that for the January premium, we don't pay New Mexico True Health, even though we were re-enrolling with the same program. We pay Be Well New Mexico because it has to go through the health insurance marketplace, thus the different due date. December 18th, December bills, like I was dealing with Christmas and all kinds of stuff. And I just missed it. So now I know. But so I went ahead, I mailed that check on December 3rd when I paid all of the bills. And it sort of took a while to get through, I guess. And part of it is that there has to be this rollover between Be Well New Mexico and to NM True Health. And it wouldn't be a problem, except that David needs to refill his prescription for his Parkinson's medication. And if he doesn't get that, then he freezes up and he can't move. So it's not pretty. Also, if he gets off his medication, then it just like becomes this rolling problem. Uh, it takes him a long time to get back on an even keel with it. All of these neurotransmitter hormonal type things, the key really seems to be keeping that on an even keel. I have to just say an offhand. If you're on video and it's on the widescreen, you could see out my window that my old treadmill is outside. I could see it laying out there. We dragged it outside yesterday because I got my new treadmill, my new heavy duty walking treadmill for my desk. So I'm very excited about that. That's a piece of good news. It arrived Saturday, and we just managed to deal with it yesterday because I was feeling better yesterday afternoon. So anyway, David went to refill his prescription on Friday, and they said that'll be $500. And he was all, what? And they said, oh, is that a problem? I was like, yes, we are not multimillionaires, because NM True Health said we were no longer covered. So that began my this. Do you guys care? Well, we're having coffee. I'm going to tell you anyway. We all go through this, but it's just so maddening trying to get through these voice systems and being on the call, the voicemail forever, on hold. So I called both NM True Health. I called NM True Health, and they said, oh, well, they didn't show any payment. They didn't show that we were re-enrolled, and I have to talk to Be Well New Mexico. And I talked to Be Well New Mexico, and we went back and forth. And each time I'm on hold for like 45 minutes. And twice I tried the thing on Friday afternoon of, where they say press 1 to have a call back. So the first time I did that, I had the call back and it went through my spam filter and went straight to voicemail, which I thought it wouldn't do because I'd called the number. So I turned off my spam filter, and then they called back later. I did the whole thing again. So this is like a whole nother hour's worth of, calling and working my way through the system, and asked for the call back and babysitting my phone. And they called and it rang and I answered and nobody's there. I'm like, hello, 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 hello. Nobody's there. And it was close to the end of their working hours. So I think maybe the auto system called me back, but then there was nobody working to actually connect the call. So I tried again Saturday morning and talked to a gal at Be Well, New Mexico, and she said, "Oh, that they hadn't received my payment." And she said, "Well, it takes a while for a check to get here." I'm like, from whatever. They're so slow on processing those things. And she said, the online payment is faster. So what you can do is go on and do the online payment. So I went online to do the payment, and okay, so I tried to log in. Not sure if I've ever logged into the site before. I don't think so. So I used my usual login email address, and no saved password comes up, nothing like that. So I do forgot password, have them send it to this email address, and nothing comes. I tried it a couple times, nothing arrives. So I'm like, okay, I must not have an account. So I created a new account and went all the way through creating the new account and get to the end of that. And they say, oh, you can't use this email because it's already in use. I was like, mm-hmm. Because it's the email I always use. It's like my one that I use for all spammy type things. So I used a different email address, and that let me do it. I went in, I paid, and the gal said that she would watch for it to come in and she would escalate it. So Monday comes and goes, or Monday comes, and David went to, let's see, did I talk to anyone? No. David went to see if he could fill his prescription. No dice. So then yesterday afternoon, I started in on my round of calls again, and I talked to the Be Well, New Mexico folks. And they say, oh, well, now we show two accounts for you. And I'm like, yeah, fuck my life. And she says, on one of them, we show two payments, and on one of them, we show none. I'm like, well, let's get rid of the none one then. And and they're like, but we show two payments because we have one that like cleared on the 7th and one that came on the 8th or something like this. And I'm like, yeah, this is why I'm explaining. So not only have we've paid twice. We want this coverage so my husband can fill his prescription. And they said, oh, okay, well, we'll escalate it and we'll get rid of this other account. Okay, great. So then David waits till the end of the day yesterday, goes to fill his prescription. Nope, no coverage. So I had to do that again this morning. We were on hold for, let's just see how long, because what I did was gave the phone to David to babysit while I started the podcast. Um, and that's why I said I could hear him talking. So that's why I said, oh, I'd come back. And so let's see here. 1 hour and 7 minutes that we were on hold, or that it took for that to complete that entire call. So we finally got to the escalation people. This guy was really helpful. He sent an email and he said it's an emergency request. And he said it should go through this afternoon. And if not, by tomorrow afternoon. And I'm like, we have to fill this prescription today. He's going to be out of medication. But that's like the fastest they can do things. And the whole time we're listening to the whole voicemail system. And the voicemail is saying things like, good news. Did you know that that the deadline to enroll has been extended to January 15th and you have until January 31st to pay? You can go pay on our website. and and at the same time, like the initial person I get through chastises me. She says, well, when we get a late payment, this is the kind of thing that happens. And I'm like, okay, so I know this for next year. I'm just going to watch for it, pay way early so we don't have this interruption. Someone else very helpfully told me that our coverage will be retroactive, so we could just go ahead and pay for the prescription and we'll get reimbursed. And it's like, yeah, okay. Nothing like a big cash outlay, but if that's what we have to, it's better than David freezing up. So that's probably what we'll do. But, it's just, when someone chastises you for saying that you've paid late at the same time that they're saying, well, the deadline has been extended. So, so yeah, that's, I guess, just modern life, right? But these are the kinds of things I think I talked on Friday. It's kind of back in the before times before I got sick. But, I talked a lot about writer finances. And this is a big factor in if you are a self employed writer, if you are making your living as a writer. And maybe it's okay if you're making uh, huge amounts of money as a writer, you don't worry about such things. But when you are, like the middle class writer like me, it's, these things just suck up so much time, and they can, it's really becomes a constant balance of, is it worth it? Because sometimes it's really tempting to think, well, I could just go back and get the salaried job and not have to worry about these things. But you forget all the aggravations of, having the full-time job and being, you know, wholly employed by someone else, and how, there are other aggravations to that too. So that's all, always the balancing, right? The balancing act. So I don't remember what I was saying before I heard David talking to the person and went to deal with that. Um, yeah. So I'm now officially behind on the book, but it appears that I can actually extend the release. It will only be like a week or two if I have to do it. Uh, I'm just going to see how the book writes in the next couple of weeks. But, sometimes things happen, right? Haven't been sick like that for a really long time. So, I don't know. I don't think I have anything else to tell you guys. Nothing springing to mind. So, I think I will go and see if I can get some words laid down on this book, figure out where I'm at in it. I'm right at midpoint, and so I'm trying to decide. I'll see how it writes, but I might be at the point. I was feeling like this the end of last week, that I might be at the point with this book where I need to go back and start revising from the beginning so I can figure out what all I need to do to finish it out. So, yeah, we'll see. Fortunately, I'm feeling pretty spunky. Nothing like a good system purge to like renew the energy and so forth. All right, so I will remind you all that First Cup of Coffee is part of the Frolic Media Podcast Network. You will find more podcasts you love at frolic.media/podcasts. And I will talk to you all probably on Thursday. Yeah, on Thursday. You all take care. Bye bye.